feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of Double XI.
Positive Power 21.org. Internet radio.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide.
All right, you tell them, little buddy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Positive Power Double XI Christian Media. Right here in the beautiful charm city of Maryland, Baltimore. What's up, Baltimore? What's up, Eastern Shore? That's right. You're listening to Late Night, the live jazz experience. Right here. All right. Thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you. All our global radio angels tuning in. Appreciate you guys downloading shows, sharing them across the network. So we got to give a shout out to our Spotify and iHeart listeners, Google Play, and of course our Apple Podcasts. I don't know how many times people walk up to me and say, "Hey man, I listened to your show right here," and they show it to me right on the Apple Podcast. That's incredible. So that just shows that God is doing his thing with the kingdom. That's right. We're bringing people to the airwaves that are here to encourage and inspire and to motivate people for doing God's work. And that's to serve him. That's right. And serve his children in any capacity, any way possible. That's right. Because we got to get the message out there, y'all. That's right. Hope. I used to love to hear Jesse Jackson say, hope is alive. That's right. It is, y'all. Despite what we're under a lot of stuff right now. People got their own personal challenges, but we also got challenges throughout the world. But it's going to be okay, y'all. It's going to be okay. Just keep doing what God told you to do. You know, that's not sitting in front of watching Hulu and Netflix all day. But you got to go out there and do some work. Help somebody. Call some older people up. Talk to them, man. You got a lot of senior citizens living in these places, and they don't have nobody to talk to, you know. All right. Be an advocate. All right. Also, coming up on Friday, and real quick before I bring our DJs on, and we got a special guest tonight. His name is Zach Sanders. He's coming out of South Carolina. He has some new music out under David P. Stevens' label, and he's here to talk all about it. He's going to chit-chat with us, answer some questions, because Lady Pray's going to lay it on him. And we got a history lesson from my man, Jazz Man. That's right, out of Chestertown. But real quick, though, this Friday, July 27th at 8 p.m., check out my page. We're going to have a Zoom virtual conference. It's going to be men asking women questions. And these supposed to be sanctified women, too. Women in business, women in ministry. So the men, and I looked at the panel of guys too. It looked like most of the guys are married guys. So we're going to have some good questions. We know what we want to ask. All right. But check us out. Check out my page, Jerry Royce Live. If you're listening to me, you know, on the radio and you don't go out to my Facebook page, which I know a lot of you do go out to my Facebook page, because I could tell by the reports that Facebook does a lot of promotion for Positive Power. And also we want to shout out to those of you that's listening to us through YouTube. Man, the numbers were crazy on YouTube. Just for a few days, we hitting like 1.2 thousand listeners in a few days. That's incredible. And of course, we try to focus a lot of our attentions on the indie authors and artists on this platform, as well as, you know, talking about some of the events that's going on in the world. But you hear enough of those things, so we try to bring you some good news. Right, Lady Praise? We bringing good news to the station, right?
Exactly.
That's right. You tell
How's everybody doing?
All right. You? Jazz Man? You out there?
How you doing? Doing well.
Hey, man. Good to hear your voice. Only time I get to talk to Jazz Man is on Wednesday. He don't call a brother during the week. The chit-chat. Guess he taking classes. Yeah. See, my tax man came by to visit me today, and he had his mask on and everything. We had a good time, man. He was really interested in knowing who he's representing now, because I know we don't do a lot of it here, really bring a lot of entrepreneurs on the show, but we did pick up Paula G's show, and Paula G talks to a lot of people in that business and some of the things that African Americans need to know more from top-notch professionals. So one of the things I always like to say, you need to have yourself a good tax man and accountant, because when you're in business, you got to do that stuff every month. You should be filing. I think it's quarterly, I believe. So at the end of the year, it don't hit you all at once. But, and you got to keep your paperwork. He was really impressed the way we kept, our tallies and everything up. Only thing he wanted me to do is start keeping mileage, which this year is at 0 because we haven't been nowhere. So anyway, I just wanted to just tell, for those of you just trying to be successful in business, you got to have some good people in place. You got to have a team in place: financial advisor, tax accountant, and your accountant if you want to take on a third person to take that role on. And you need a marketing consultant and a social media specialist unless you want to do all that stuff yourself. And sometimes you can retain these people for very low fees. And all of it's a write-off at the end of the year. You make some money, you need some write-offs. Got to have some write-offs. You're going to be a mad individual if you don't have anything to write off. Take my word for it. All right. We got a special guest tonight, Lady Praise. You ready to check him on in so we can get the show started?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, yeah.
All right. Mr. Sanders, welcome to Positive Power. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Good, man.
How you doing?
That man's good.
Doing good.
Amen. Glad to have you on the program. You're a very impressive young man. I can't wait to hear, the chit-chat with you tonight, throwing us a little bit of nuggets. The young people always give us nuggets, don't they, Jazz Man? They always impress us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing pretty good. So I trust you'll be able to do the same thing. All right, Mr. Zach, Mr. Sanders, you have a great show. I'm here. I'm engineering the show. I'll be right here if you guys need me. Don't forget, Jasmine, after you do your history report at the top of the hour, we're gonna introduce his new music, Pretty Girl, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great show.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
All right. Hey, Mr. Zach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good. I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Great. So please tell the audience about Zach Sanders.
Zach Sanders, myself. I'm a 21-year-old saxophonist. I'm originated from here out of Columbia, South Carolina. Born and raised, 21 years so far. I'm young. I'm finally starting to get my foot in the game a little bit. Learn the business, and I'm adventurous. I'm a young lion. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat, and I'm definitely ready to put my impact and leave my mark and my stamp on the not just the jazz, but also the R&B, every genre you can imagine. I want to get my foot in it and put my stamp on it.
Oh wow! So I understand by your bio, you were like 14. I mean, you're young still, 21,
yes,
but you started at 14. So who got you into music?
Really just where I grew up. I grew up in went to a predominantly African American middle school, and being on band, the movie Drumline, that was always a goal for us. My brothers played the sax, so I eventually went and I picked up the horn that was sitting around at the house, and I can remember vividly telling my dad after my very first day of band class that I was going to be in a band one day, and I stuck with it ever since then. I went to a concert about the summer of 8th grade. Gene Dyke's Big Band Orchestra, they're a big band located here in the Carolinas. I sat in the crowd for about an hour or two, and he invited me out, and that was my first chance of playing with anyone in the area, and it just kind of exploded like a rocket after that.
Oh, wow. So I've been listening to Pretty Girl, your new single.
Mm-hmm.
And I also listened to the Galaxy. I like that. I like both of those. To me, you sound Gerald Albright or Nod G.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who are some of your other influences? I'm quite sure they're probably Gerald Albright, Nod G.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like his name. But to me, you really got that really, really good sound. I mean, and again, when you just said you were 21, I'm like, man, no way this dude is 21, not sounding like this.
Yeah. And it's a funny story behind Gerald Albright. Gerald Albright is actually the reason that I started playing smooth jazz. I think it was 2012, I believe, he released his 24/7 album with Norman Brown. He released a promo video for the song Yes I Can, and it went digga 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 da 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 da. And as soon as those notes came out, the words came out of my mouth, that's the type of music I want to play. I remember it was early in the morning. It was like 12:30. I should have been asleep looking at the Gerald Albright promo video, and I remember saying, like, that's the type of music I wanted to play. So ever since then, I did a few gigs here and there, and what really defined my sound was Marcus Anderson. Of course, you guys probably are familiar with his music. I was connected with Marcus maybe about 2 years ago. He was actually a big part of Galaxy and the sound behind Galaxy. He connected me with everybody and showed me the ropes, how it is to work in the studio. And that eventually what got me connected to Mr. Stevens. And that's what led to Pretty Girl.
Wow. I mean, I really like it. I really dig it. And I definitely dig Galaxy. So tell me this. So again, what other saxophonists in the past influenced you? And I know there's a lot you can say.
What other?
Is there anybody? Is there anybody from the past?
I'd say definitely Cannonball Adderley. He was the first jazz saxophonist I've ever was interested in. He was the very first of all genres. So Cannonball Adderley, he was the first. Definitely Coltrane. I was a big Wayne Shorter fan. And for me, I always still am this way. I'm big on listening, consuming, and studying, because when I'm listening to music, I'm studying at the same time. I'm big on listening and studying music that I wish to sound like, because I'm still young, I'm still growing. So I've always been one to, and I've been getting on about this by my teachers and other mentors, that I should listen to more genres, more artists, but I'll tend to listen to one artist a whole lot. So really just Cannonball Adderley, Wayne Shorter, and John Coltrane were really just who I transcribed all through middle school and getting to high school until I got into smooth jazz. But I didn't really have a big list of saxophonists that I was listening to and studying at the time. Yeah.
So what type of sax do you play? You play tenor, or what do you play? Alto? What are you playing?
I play the full ranges. I'm currently playing mostly my alto these days. So I definitely prefer the alto, tenor second, and I can't go without the soprano. I love the sweet sound of the soprano, so I have that on my list third.
Okay. So tell me this: why? Tell us why the sax? What was so great about playing the sax? I mean, you first picked it up. I hear people say, "Oh, it was I can make love." Well, not love, but I can. It's just that sound of the sax that just gets me excited.
Really, it was just because my brothers played. They put it down. I had one in the house, and my mama said, "You're going to play this instrument." So I played that instrument, and I ended up being kind of good at it. So I said, "Hey, I'm going to play this instrument," and I never stopped. But it wasn't really any special story besides my mom said I was going to play, or my parents said I was going to play, so I played, and I ended up loving it. So.
Did your parents play as well? Your mom and dad played instruments as well?
My dad played sax also throughout, high school and a little bit in college. He went to Benedict College here in Columbus, South Carolina. So he played throughout college, but other than that, he didn't do anything too much. But he played a big part in helping me get set in and get acclimated playing with the big band when I first started after middle school. So he definitely helped me out a lot.
Wow. So tell me this. So do you write your own music?
Galaxy was written All By Me was produced by Now Hargrove. Pretty Girl was written and produced by David P. Stevens. I definitely can't thank him enough for just providing the vibe and capturing the sound that I was shooting for on this track. He definitely, we shot for the stars, and he shot past the universe on that one.
Wow. So how has I don't know whether I know you listen to a lot of music, and now there's a lot of artists, Usher and Trey Songz and, CHIT-CHAT and all these guys that are really doing a lot of, not necessarily protest songs, but just songs that are just really, dealing with all we're dealing with now as far as the black protests and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. Have you written anything that's probably going to come out soon that's going to sort of, showcase that or do anything towards that?
Well, me and David, we do have something in the works, but over as recently as a month ago, I played a huge role. I was a volunteer and reach out coordinator for the Rutherford for Coroner campaign. I helped elect the first black coroner here in Richland County not too long ago. So I took a break from music to do that. So I'm not a huge social media person, so a lot of the stuff that I do may not be, just pictures and photo ops, but I will say I do a lot here in Richland County for the True Black Lives Matter movement, really making sure people are in positions of power to where we can have correct representation. So when events occur, we can have people that look like us that'll fight for us and be on our side. So that's a little bit of what I do. I like to definitely use my platform and my, the people I know to definitely put me in positions so I can really, really, really help. Because I love to post. I love to play songs. I love to post quotes about it. But even more, I love to make change. That's the way I can make change is using the platform that I have acquired through music, the connections I've acquired through music to put me in different roles to, really make that change. And that's a big thing that David has really been instilling in me, just to be, a diverse person, making sure I'm not just an artist. I'm a community advocate. I'm a advocate for the people who support me and my music. So that's very big for me.
Wow. So I know that COVID has affected everybody. So how has this COVID-19 affected your performing and getting your music out and having people, showcasing who you are? How has that affected your whole career?
Well, that's funny because when I released Galaxy, that was kind of right when COVID started. So I released it March 31st. I remember kind of leaving school not too long before then. So I don't have much of a comparison because that was my my first release prior to my debut release, Pretty Girl. So I don't have much of a comparison, but I can say, luckily, thanks to my mentors like David and Marcus that have taught me how to work in the studio. That was a really, really big cushion for me, because now the majority of my work is studio work. So that transition was very, very easy. It wasn't a big bump for me. And I'm working on a few other projects with a few other people and producers. So COVID, of course, it is hitting me hard with the stage, my live performances. But at the same time, I was kind of doing more studio stuff, trying to get my name out there with the records and my single anyway. So it kind of, I think God just lined it up in my favor where it didn't really throw me off track really any at all.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. So you mentioned that you're not really too familiar with or too really up on social media. So is that challenging for you? Is that something that you're going to try to push for more, or to learn how to
definitely
push into that Facebook, Instagram?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. I'm, I've recently started working with Dave and learning how things operate, and I've been pushing myself to get on and connect more with my audience on a bigger level, and just understanding that sometimes it can be much bigger than just my small circle of local audiences when I'm making the music I do, it's inevitable that it's going to reach the national fan base. And as it does reach it, I'm learning how to, be better connected with not just Eastern Standard Time, with my family out in L.A. because most of everything I'm working on right now was with the producers out in L.A. So that's also been a challenge because they're 3 to 4 hours behind. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So it'll be 12. It'll be 12 o'clock here, and it's 9 o'clock there, and so that follows in with posting too. So I'm having to look at, okay, if I post at this time here, what time is it going to be most visible to the audience in, say, LA or Louisiana? Is it going to be, a hot hour? Is it going to be a time when they're most active? So I have been pushing myself, and I like to say, all my social medias are Zach Sanders Music, ZACH Sanders Music, if anyone would like to give me a follow.
All right. Oh, okay, cool. So I have a question. So if you could open up a show and somebody says, hey, who would you would like to open a show for and why? I mean, anybody. You're the opening act. You're the opening act of this artist, and you're like, nervous because it's like, oh my gosh, and they ask you to open up. Who would you?
Honestly, as I make my transition, I'm singing more, making more R&B music. I know a lot of people are expecting me to say, like one of my idols, Gerald Albright or Marcus or someone, but really it would be someone mainstream, like maybe Chris Brown, maybe Bruno Mars.
Really?
Or really someone that could align with my vision where I hope to go, where I can really bring the sax back into popular music. Back when Kirk Whalum was playing with Whitney Houston, that was a common sound to hear in R&B. Now, not so much, but we're definitely pushing that. So I definitely have to say maybe someone like Chris Brown, because he's been putting out hits for the past 6 months. So
yeah. So when did you first started singing? As far as with your music, because on Pretty Girl, you got a nice voice on Pretty Girl. Very nice. I started singing around the time David, he recommended I start singing for Pretty Girl. So I have to say maybe 3 months ago, just to stretch it out a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I've tried really singing for the first time. And my parents always told me I should sing. They used to make me sing on the church choir, but I never would really sing. I used to do a lot of lip singing. So I never actually knew I could sing. And I tell people that, I actually didn't know I could sing. I told David, I could do it. I got it. And then when I got it, I said, okay, I actually do got this. I can actually do it. So I've been singing actually for about 4 months, and it's been something that, people have been telling me for a while. They knew I could sing. So it wasn't a big surprise, but. It wasn't a big surprise. And I was going to ask you, too, because, a lot of different singers have, sing, and then, the George Bensons, the George Dukes, they play and then they sing. So you definitely probably going to continue with this singing and give it a different mix when you put out the different songs that works? Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely like to incorporate it too, so I could kind of bridge the gap between the current jazz, smooth jazz, contemporary jazz adult audience and the younger, and not just the younger, but just in general the R&B genre, the hip hop side of things, kind of bridge that gap. Because as of now, everyone knows, those are the biggest streamers. They're getting the biggest numbers right now. So I really like to be able to have jazz on that bigger platform. So kids nowadays, they can, have that same feeling. When I heard Gerald Albright's Yes I Can for the first time, I want some child somewhere to have that same feeling when they hear my music. And I feel like for us to be able to connect with them, we'll have to, make some changes, because I feel like every genre changes with the time. Rap music from, definitely. Rap music from the 80s sounded different from the 90s. Rap music from 2000 when I was a child sounds much different from now. So every genre changes. R&B music from when I was a child sounds much different from R&B music now. Gospel music from 90s sounds different than gospel music that comes out now. So I feel like as a jazz community, the jazz audience, not just the musicians, not just the listeners, the musicians. Also, we have to learn to change with the times and appeal to the new and upcoming artists, so we can give them the same feelings and evoke the same emotions that we once felt.
Yeah. So hey, tell me a little bit about before I switch it over and give it over to Jazz and do a little Black history, music history.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about an experienced band, your young band you got going on.
Yes, ma'am. Experience. I started it. I think that was 2017. I did I like to call it my debut show, quote unquote. It was my first show that I went and found the venue, saved up money, bought the venue, hired the band, put the tickets on Eventbrite, and I actually sold out that very first show. Of course, I had been gigging for since I was 14 years old, but first time really doing the solo act thing, and it was at a local club in Columbia, South Carolina, and I sold it out unexpectedly. That's when I knew that band, that group of people would be a hit. It's included of me, of course, Zach Sanders on sax and now vocals, Casio Beats on keys, and we use a variety of different people on the bass, guitar, and drums. But really, it's just a group of young musicians who are really driven with a sound in their ear. And we're really just pushing the limits of multiple genres, pushing the limits of what we can do with the music, showing people that, original music, even on the local scene, can be, a popular thing. We do a lot of original music rather than covers. So we're just showing people, we're showing people that bands can be, again, bands can be popular, bands can be cool again, like we believe they once were in days before I was a child.
Yes, and I can attest to that. Earth, Wind, and Fire, and yes. Yes, Black.
And that's a big...
Yes, Crusaders.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Zach, hey, I want to thank you very much for answering my question. And so I want you to hold on, okay? Because right now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to Jazzman. And hey, Jazz, what's up? So I understand your featured artist this evening is Patrice Rushen. Yes,
it is. All right.
Yes.
This evening's featured guest is Patrice Rushen. Rushen, whose nickname is Baby Fingers because of her small hands, was born in 1954 in Los Angeles, California. When Patrice Rushen was 3 years old, she began playing the piano, and by the time she was 6, she was giving classical recitals. In her teens, she attended South LA's Locke High School and went on to earn a degree in music from the University of Southern California. After winning a competition at the age of 17, it enabled her to perform with her band at the Monterey Jazz Festival. Rushen signed with the Prestige label, releasing 3 albums with them between 1974 and 1976. In 1978, when she was 23, she began recording with Electra Records. Trained as a classical pianist, Patrice Rushen gravitated to fusion, jazz, R&B, and pop in the 70s and 80s. Her music life has been diverse as she added roles as a vocalist, jazz pianist, composer, producer, and educator to her classical career. She has worked with famous artists such as Herbie Hancock, Prince, Carlos Santana, and Stevie Wonder. She has also written many pieces of symphonic music, some commissioned by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. With an honorary doctorate in music from Berklee in 2005, she is a frequent visiting artist and speaker at Berklee. Rushen has 4 Grammy nominations and has composed scores for music, for movies, and television. I don't know why she's been nominated but has never won. But anyway, She holds the distinction of being the first female director of many of the industry's top award shows, including the Grammy Awards, the Emmy Awards, the People's Choice Awards, the NAACP Image Awards, and others. Her hit single, Forget Me Nots, which she is popular known for, has been covered and sampled by many, many artists. Russian was part of the 2015 Berkeley Women's Empower Symposium at Berkeley's campus in Valencia, Spain. Russian continues to advise and mentor music students both at Berkeley and at the University of Southern California as an artist in residence and curriculum consultant. She also works with various music in the schools programs and music education programs for underprivileged youth in Los Angeles. Throughout her career, Russian has woven many roles and strains of music to make a harmonious world of music. The one and only Patrice Russian, she has been forming since the early 1970s and still going strong. Thank you.
You are
Your Batman's ready for the music.
It's your smile, it's your eyes. I wanna get to know you. Call me when you're alone. Grab your headphones. I wanna play something for you. It's your smile, it's your eyes. I wanna get to know you. Call me when you're alone. Grab your headphones. I wanna play something for you.
You're listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
I like that, Brother Zach. I like that.
Thank you so much.
But now, Zach, I was listening to you speaking with Lady Praise, and you mentioned some of your musical influences in terms of Gerald Albright and Cannonball Adderley, Wayne Shorter, John Coltrane. Which style of jazz do you prefer? Smooth jazz or classical jazz?
I prefer smooth. I prefer smooth jazz now. But when I first started in jazz, I hated smooth jazz. I hated it. I would hear smooth jazz on the radio, and I did not like it at all until I heard that smooth until I heard that video, then it was like my ear changed all of a sudden. And then after that, I started listening to Darius. So after that, it was just like dominoes. So I prefer smooth jazz, but I still love standard.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, my next question is a two-part question. What is the best part of the music industry, and what is the worst part of the music industry?
Best part with the music industry is really just, the ability to connect people from multiple backgrounds, times like this, COVID, however you say it. It gives people a sense of relief, a sense of comfort during these times. But the bad part is just all the background stuff that goes on. Negative music can leave negative influences. But for the positive side of things, I feel like positive music can also leave very positive effects. So I think that's what's the good thing about music.
Okay. Now, do you find the business side, did you learn the business side before you entered the industry as a whole, or are you learning as you go along?
Well, I've always kind of been, I don't want to say ahead, but I've always kind of been I guess I will say kind of ahead of my age, ahead of my things when it came to the business, and not just music, but running the business as a whole. My mom and dad were small business owners up until the age of I was 9 or 10 years old with that close. So I was already kind of familiar with, branding, having an audience, how to talk on the phone, how to, conduct business. So that kind of helped put me in a position to work with local artists bigger than me, to where I was, working. I was learning the business, but at the same time, I kind of already knew what to expect.
Oh, that's good.
I've always had a plan, and to be honest, it's going exactly like I thought it would. So.
Oh, okay. So where do you see yourself in, say, 8 to 10 years?
8 to 10. I'm gonna have a whole. I want to be humble, of course. I want to be humble, but I have, of course, a couple Billboard hits, and doing some very, very big things. 8 to 10 years, really some stuff that I really can't even describe right now. But I really expect to be doing some really big things in not just the jazz genre, but as a whole in the music industry. I've hoped to have begun to at least leave part of my stamp on my industry. And I'll still be a young man still in 8 to 10 years. I won't even be out of my 20s in 8 years. So, I've hoped to be doing some really big things. That's all I can really say right now. But definitely, I'll have my music everywhere. My music will be everywhere. My platform will be used for some positive things for the people. But this is some really big stuff. That's all I can say right now.
Now, Zach, you mentioned that you would like to cover all the genres, right? In terms of R&B, pop, probably a little gospel, jazz, a little bit of everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, do you plan to not just only play, but also to write in those genres?
Yeah, yes, sir. I definitely do. I've got my fingers, my writer's experience started with Galaxy. I wrote Roll All at the Horn section. So I definitely plan to write in some other genres. And, of course, I'd like to get started producing more than anything in those other genres. So if not only writing, more producing more than anything, and I'd like to give my hand at that.
Okay. Now, can you let the audience know exactly what entails being a producer?
Okay, a producer. This is interesting. I've had people ask me this before. I like to note the difference between a producer and a beat maker. A producer produces tracks. He puts tracks together. He has a client, and he listens to the demands and the wants of that client, and he helps produce the sound that client has. So if the client is, I send David a voice clip, a voice recording on my phone saying da 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 da, or something like that. David can take that sound, lay a synth, put chords behind it, say, hey, do you want guitar in it? Do you want this? Put it together, work with me hand in hand, and if he has to, hire outside musicians, he may need to hire a horn section, he may need to hire a choir. That would be the job of the producer, to put everything together. So they get all the ingredients of the soup and they cook it up. They basically cook it up. They put it all together, they place it, and they make it ready to send out to the engineer.
Oh, okay. Now, what about the difference between a producer and a composer?
A difference between a producer and a composer. A producer may sometimes hire a composer to compose a certain part. So if I'm producing a song and I say, okay, I want this type of sound on this orchestra arrangement that's leading in on a intro to the song, I may hire a composer to compose this type of sound for the orchestra or the introduction, whatever I'm wanting it for. So they put together, composers, I'm trying to get it out the best way I can. Composers, may put together other musicians to put together that final sound. They write music also, but a producer hires the composer almost.
Now, as a composer, okay, let me switch up. Like, if it's a composer, if it was in publishing, would it be considered like an editor?
When I think about editing, I'm thinking more of I don't think he would go on. I don't think he would go on as an editor of the song. Because of course, when you're like a producer, if he's hiring a composer, he's probably hiring an editor and all those other things also.
Oh, okay. So with your knowledge of music, Zach, seems like you can one day probably write, produce, compose, and arrange your own album.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. That's definitely going to be a goal of just getting me being a well-rounded businessman.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, you're only 21 years old. For your generation, what advice would you give to your generation before going into the music business?
Really just make sure it's right for you. Be honest with yourself. That's a huge thing. Just really just be honest with yourself. Make sure it's something. Make sure you know you have the sound for it. Make sure your sound is right for the industry that you're pursuing. Put yourself around people that are where you want to be. Hear everyone out, but be wary to take advice from someone that's not necessarily where you want to be or hope to be, or is not headed or going in that direction. That's a big thing. But most of all, it's not going to say it's all about who you know, because it's not. One big thing is practice. Practice your craft. A lot of people depend on just the business side of things. It's not all about the business side of things and who you know. That is a huge thing. But when you add skill on top of that, it just makes it a whole new package deal. So practice your craft. Second, making sure you're putting yourself around people who are headed to where you want to be or already there. And definitely third, be one to open to advice. Be like a sponge, absorb that advice, but at the same time, be quick to be able to wring it out, and it's gone. So that's the three big things to me that I think can get you started and help you get around people that can get you started and get you in the positions to be where you want to be.
Now, Zach, would you advise them to get a one-on-one mentor?
Yeah, I definitely would advise that a mentorship that occurs naturally. Be weary, of course. Be weary of the people that send you a message on Instagram saying, "Hey, I got such and such package deal," and all of that. But something that occurs naturally. Of course, somebody that's genuine and really looking out to help you, like David Stevens, a really big mentor of mine, helping me out. helping me tighten myself up and really learn the national scene and the national game and how it goes. So I definitely would recommend somebody having a mentor, but just make sure it's something that occurs naturally or it's a natural connection.
Okay. Now, Zach, excellent answer. You're actually well beyond your years. But also, I'd like to know, in this day and time of independent social media, do you find it very beneficial in terms of marketing in the music business?
Yeah, I do. I feel like the different platforms that we have now, not just even the Instagram and Facebook anymore. It's going to TikTok. People are using Snapchat. I think people still are. I'm not. But TikTok, Voicey, all the other apps are really just putting musicians' platform, giving us a different platform to push our music out there, and not just promotion. We're getting paid for it too. The streams from apps like TikTok and Mashup and Voicey. So I think it's really good. And of course, Instagram and Facebook with the hashtags and just the automated placement of your content into people who want to see it. So I think that's a really, really big plus and sometimes a negative in this day and age for social media, because at the same time, like I said earlier, someone can use it's all about the business side of things, because if you're really good at social media marketing, you might not be the best, musician, or you might not be the best singer, but if you're really good at what you do on social media, you can be one of the biggest singers in the world. So I think it's plus and negatives to having social media a part of the music business nowadays.
Yeah. You're right about that. All right, Zach, I thank you. I'm about to turn it over to Batman. Batman, you gonna play another song?
Well, his manager only sent one over to us, but we got to transition to the next show in a few minutes anyway. But Zach, we want to thank you so much, brother, for joining us, man. Is there any shout outs you want to make out there in South Carolina?
Definitely. I'd like to give a big shout out to my mom, my dad, my support team here in South Carolina. A big shout out to everyone who listens, who supports Zach Sanders' music. A big shout out to David P. Stevens, Pretty Girl publicist Desiree Benson for putting this project together. Big thank you to everyone.
Amen. We definitely going to go out on your song, and we're going to also play a little bit of David P. Stevens, one of my favorite guitarists, man. That guy throws down, man. I know you enjoy working with him. What have you taken away from working with Mr. Stevens so far?
It's really just recently starting to set in, because really a year ago, man, I was listening to David on Spotify. I was listening to the release he did with I think it was Phil Denny, the one that went number one.
Yeah.
So it was like I went from listening to him on Spotify to him helping me put together a song, and so it's really the biggest thing I can take away is just to be a sponge. I'll always be ready to absorb information and knowledge.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I can say I've taken from him.
One of the things I've taken away from him is that guy has the best a visual presentation. I mean, he really knows how to work a camera, to his advantage. He brings the big stage, and it could be a small venue, but it kind of reminds me when he does things. Kind of remind me what they do in that little spot, Blues Alley, and some of those spots where you find those real talented artists in those small venues, but they really know how to capture the audience, man. He's a real showman when it comes to presentation. I think artists can take that away from him. It doesn't matter how small, how big the venue is. He's going to give you his best, and so that's what I take away from that guy. And of course, his music is incredible music. So you got a great role model, man. Congratulations to you. It's hard to get somebody like that,
Yeah, I'm blessed.
Yeah, for real. Good for you, man. I know, matter of staying humble and everything, and just let the doors open for you. One question I have for you, though, Zach, before you go, though, and I'm kind of tampering a little bit in the music world myself, and we're about to release our first music video because we're expecting to do some tours when things open up. Do you think that's the key, man? with visual presentations, you think that's the key to getting people that to introduce yourself along with your music, is letting them see the best of you on film before they start buying tickets for your events? How you feel about that visual presentations?
I wouldn't say it's the key, because I'm really big on never forget that the internet was only invented like 30 years ago. Not invented, but it was only available for stuff that we're doing now. So not that long, maybe 20
right.
years. So I'm a big advocate of don't forget the organic audience, don't forget the grassroots, don't forget the hand-to-hand, the in-person. So I would say, the videos, the social media presence is huge nowadays, but at the same time, it's huge to have that local fan base of live showmanship and learning how to work a stage. So I'd say your live presence, your live fan base is just as important as your social media fan base.
That's right. Yeah, and you said something real important too, man. Local. Kind of. Some people don't. Well, I'm not gonna say everybody, but I always find that you don't find out about your local artists like until it's too late. Like they're not here no more. It's like, wow, they from Baltimore.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and I think that's a shame, because I'm wondering how hard do they try, to make their presence known, in their local town, or do you see them at the festivals, the state fairs? It's like you don't sometimes, and so I was always, because I remember I was just telling somebody today. I remember when DMX was speaking about how the money used to be divvied up to the artists, and he was talking big name artists, and it was like, wow, it was like 10 cents was considered big for a CD, LP, not an EP, but for a CD. And he was saying the money is made at the box office, in ticket sales. You got to go on tour. Mm-hmm. Everything else is breaking you even. So I was like, but I'm just wondering, when we gonna start seeing? It's like I don't see a lot of tour dates. Well, I know now we don't, but even in 2019, I don't remember seeing a lot of big name tour dates. What happened to that?
That's true. That's true.
Is it because of the venues? Is the venues too high for the promoters, or is it the stage plays are trending more? What do you think?
I'm really thinking it's just what we were just saying. The online thing, ticket sales are too high. Venue prices are too high for promoters. It's just a lot going on. Even before COVID, it was just a lot going on in the world. So, but I like to say, I think now, if we can get past this wave of COVID, that I think ticket sales for live performances will go up, and they'll be definitely more appreciated.
Yeah, that's true. Because I know, man, the festivals used to be the big thing for my age group. And Lady Praise can tell you, when they hear a jazz festival coming on the Eastern Shore, man, they locked in. But, it's like...
Mm-hmm. I mean, we locked.
Yeah, we locked in. Even the gospel cruises, where you got these artists, this lineup of artists that's going to be on these cruises, and people going because, that's what black people like to do. They like to be on the water and be entertained, And then even the theme parks. I remember going to a theme park, and this promoter was hosting all of these kids from out of town that was participating in this jazz competition, but it was packed. People were there, So I don't know, man. It's like I miss that live. I mean, I listen to anybody that's good, because then you become a fan. Opening acts.
Yeah.
You just don't see that.
That's where you find some of the most up and coming talent.
Yeah. I remember.
Some of the underdogs.
Yeah, I remember Alicia Keys was pushing some people, man, and I don't know, how far they had gone, but I remember she used to push her backup singers. All of them used to have their own projects out there. So music is, to me, music is still universal, and it's a lot of talent out there, and it's I just like to see more of these new acts, man, in person. Of course, everybody's doing a virtual thing. I don't know. We'll see, right? When this is all over, everybody gonna be anxious to get back out there, So we'll see. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Any last final words to your fans? You know, any encouraging words you want to leave people with during this time? I know a lot of people going through a lot of mental stress right now. You know, job loss, not enough food on the table, dealing with the kids, you know, in-laws, you know. Any encouraging words?
My encouraging words, you know, for stress relief is just turn on some Saxophonists music. Turn on Pretty Girl Relax. Follow me on social media. And hopefully I can provide you with some good sounds to be a good source of comfort during these times.
Amen. Yeah, I believe that, man.
Well put. Well put.
Yeah. Another young person, man.
Thank you guys again.
He broke the mold. Nobody can come behind you now, Zach. You did it. You proved to the world that young people still have it. They have it going on, and we trust that we can leave this world in your hands. Yeah, amen to you, man, and bless you. And thank you, Desiree, for allowing you to come on our show. And again, thank you, Lady Praise and Jazz Man, for the awesome questions for Mr. Zach. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. You take care.
Thanks. The best wishes.
That's right. We hope to meet you soon, too, man. We hope to meet you. Amen.
Yeah, have a wonderful night. You too.
All right. Oh, you too.
All right, thank you, family, for tuning in to Positive Power WXI Christian Media, the live jazz experience coming at WKHS 90.5 FM, the podcast. We want to thank Jazz Man and Lady Praise for joining us out of Chestertown, Maryland, C-Town. I'm Batman, Charm City, right here in beautiful Baltimore City. We hope to have some football. That's right, you hear me, Lamar? That's right, you guys get together, man. Everybody stay safe out there. All right, because we heard a couple athletes that gotten sick on the collegiate level and workouts. You guys got to social distance now. Come on, y'all, wear those masks. Just watching a concert, nobody's wearing a mask. I ain't talking about the performance. I'm talking about the audience members. Come on, y'all, we got to stay safe, y'all. We don't want to go down like that. All right, I'm Batman of Charm City. This is the Live Jazz Experience. Coming up next, Becoming You. Dr. Diane Duck. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide.